Thank you for having me. I'm honored to be part of this, and I want to say thank you to all speakers. It's been very inspiring and very encouraging to hear about your work and to see that there's many things happening even in these complicated times. So I'm gonna put my presentation. Let me see if I can do it right. Okay, and now. Is that okay? Yeah. All right. So I'm here to present the global campaign on military spending. It's a campaign founded by the IPB, the International Peace Bureau. It's a year-round campaign. It started in 2014 as such, but its precedent is the GDAMS, the Global Days of Action on Military Spending, which started almost 10 years ago on 2011. The aim of the campaign is to raise awareness on the excessive amount of public money that we spend on the military every year all across the world, and our community what tries to achieve is a change in the discourse and the attitudes towards military spending, and somehow affect the decision makers when they decide that such an amount of money is to be allocated every year to the military. Especially at times when we have major emergencies like climate change or this pandemic, the COVID-19, and at a time that it has been proven that the security that the military provides has nothing to do with the security that we need. Just to situate military spending in the military economic cycle, here today we've been talking about the spending, of course, by governments, because they're the ones who are paying for nuclear weapons and all kinds of weapon systems and the military. And our campaign, it focuses on this part of the cycle because we consider it essential that because without the governments, without governments and the military industry complex pushing for this spending, we could stop this wheel that ends in the use of weapons. It ends in conflicts and it ends in lots of violence that normally affect the civilians most. So, and it's exciting to see that here in this seminar and peace groups around the world are working in different issues. But I just wanted to show this graph so we could see that we're kind of working in the same cycle one way or another. This is an infographic we prepared last year of the 30 biggest spenders in military across the world. You can see by the bubbles that obviously the United States is the biggest one. It spends as much as the 7th next countries in the list. And if you see the bar above of the infographic, you'll see this is the 7th part of the United States. Then the other third, sorry, 1/3 is spent by the United States. The other third spent by the 7 next countries, and then it's everyone else. And all this adds up to 1.82 trillion, of which 51% is the NATO countries. So why do we question military spending? We believe that history has proven that arms raising and military bloc had never led to peace. It can only lead to war and conflict. And that the deterrence and the brinkmanship policies have ostensibly failed over history. They're based in a toxic masculinity, an aggressive way of dealing with each other, and a very toxic international environment. And also that because the interests of the military industrial complex themselves can push this military spending onward like they're doing, and it might have nothing to do with our security as we believe it is. Another reason for us to question military spending is that the homeland and national security doctrines that it's based on do not provide us true security, and even the threats that they identify, they cannot solve with the military. For example, cyber attacks, terrorism, or organized crime, they all appear in homeland and national security doctrines, and of course it cannot be dealt with the military. that becomes even more obvious when we talk about migrations, when we talk about climate change, and when we talk about pandemics like the COVID-19 one, because it's obvious that the military should not and cannot deal with these emergencies. Then, of course, we question military spending because of its huge opportunity cost. We believe the peace dividend that it will generate to reallocate these funds in other sectors will be huge. It'll be good for, of course, for social welfare. It'll be good for the economy. It'll be good for the environment. And we believe these funds should be relocated even more now that we see that our social safety net is profoundly underfunded. We also question military spending because we believe it causes and it exacerbates and perpetuates global emergencies and tensions. It sustains the power structures that are causing violence in many levels, not only direct and physical violence, but also structural violence and cultural violence. And we believe it sustains these increasingly obscene levels of violence and inequality. Also because we believe the military is sustaining this system that is at war with life, that is causing climate change and biodiversity loss and many other environmental forms of destruction. And we also oppose it because we're seeing that the military is planning to respond and is already responding to this crisis. We've seen it respond to the pandemic. We see it respond to migration through the fortification and the management of borders. And of course, we question military spending because of ethical and humanitarian reasons, which should be enough for everyone to agree, but sometimes we need to go beyond that. So what we propose is it's a human security paradigm. We want these funds to be oriented to human security, which is it's a kind of security that focuses on people, that puts the individuals in the center and addresses the real threats that we face, economical, in regards of food, health, environmental, personal, cultural, and political uncertainty. For this year, we prepared this infographic. I think it's very self-evident, but seeing the situation, we felt like we needed to change our focus and make obvious how the kind of security we've been preparing, that we've been funding, has nothing to do with what we needed. And we've done this comparison between military hardware and arms with health services and equipment. So, for example, for every aircraft, combat aircraft, every jet, F-35, that it costs 89 million, 3,244 beds could be ICU beds in a hospital could be done, and well, so on so on. I will send this infographic here on the panel, and I hope you can engage with it and share it if you agree with it. On the right side, we see global military spending, 1.82. The entire bubble wouldn't fit in an infographic, so we had to only make a little part of it appear. And then the small blue bubbles is the annual budget for the year 2018 of organizations that we believe that provide or that are oriented to human security, like UNICEF, UNHCR, World Health Organization, that is now in everyone's mind. And this other table is just a comparison between the research and development that the United States did in 1 year in 2018, compared with the R&D that they did in health. So this is trying to change the wheel that I was talking about, the cycle, the alternatives that we could have, but I will not elaborate more on that. But we just put the focus normally that the alternatives for military spending should be social safety net spending, SDGs, universal public health services, public services like healthcare, like education, like housing, like renewables. We also believe that we should put much more efforts in diplomacy, in transparency, in monitoring, in resorting to legal arbitration, in these multilateral organizations that provide better solutions to conflict and that could help prevent and transform conflicts. and move away from these deterrence and brinkmanship policies that we keep using in everyday politics. Then we also encourage for a conversion from military to civil industry. During this crisis, the COVID-19 crisis, we've seen that some arms companies have moved to preparing health equipment that we need. That this proves that the conversion can be done. Now they're doing it because of the profit, but it could be done if we decide as a society that it's not acceptable to keep producing weapons and to keep preparing for war. So we advocate for nonviolent alternatives that are morally superior, that are drastically less costly, and that are more appealing to the majority of people. And we also encourage an intersectional approach. We believe it's important that we get together with other social movements like feminists, like ecologists and climate protesters, like the anti-racist and indigenous groups, or all human rights and social justice activists, because we believe we have a common diagnosis and we all fight for alternatives to this system that are more peaceful, sustainable, and just. So as I already have mentioned, the overall goal of the GCOM, so the Global Campaign on Military Spending, is to push governments to reallocate budgets towards peace, towards sustainable development, towards climate change, towards public services and social justice and humanitarian programs. I feel like I'm talking a lot, so I'm gonna try to wrap it up. This is the statement that we used this year. We had to change it because of the whole pandemic, but at the same time we realized that people were more interested in security, that people were questioning the role of the military in a way that they hadn't done before, and our statement is just advocating for healthcare instead of warfare, and for this change of funding that we should privilege. We also believe that reallocating the defense budgets could help to finance a transition towards a better society, and at the same time it will help bail out the communities that are suffering more from this pandemic. And just to finish, here are some proposals for you to join the campaign if you feel like, because this time is the Global Days of Action on Military Spending. It's a special period of action of our campaign, and it takes from the April 10th to May 9th. So we still have two more weeks to go. Of course, we had to adapt the campaign to online means. You can find more in our website, but what we propose to people is to join the online campaign, to take selfies and support major reductions of military spending, to use our statements and infographics, to sign a petition by the International Peace Bureau to the General Assembly in order to push leaders to move the money from militarization to healthcare and other human security oriented spending. And we're encouraging our partners to organize webinars, and like this one we're attending now. And on the 27th, we'll be having press conferences across the world. We have 9 confirmed from Seoul, Sydney, Rome, Berlin, and many in South America, also Washington, DC. Because on the 27th, the SIPRI, the Stockholm International Peace Research Institute, is releasing new data on military spending for the year 2019. So we'll be updating this 1.82 figure to one that is probably going to be higher. And we'll be protesting online all across the world, and we encourage you to join if you can. And another way of acting is to contact your local or national representative, Congress people, and ask them to position themselves regarding the militarization and military spending. And a more general way, to use the social networks and stay active in the debates, even if they're in your WhatsApp or they're online, as we feel like changes are coming our way, and it's important that we take part in the discourse, in this battle of ideas, and that we make sure that we don't go backwards after this, and that they won't use this shock to restrict even more our freedoms and rights. So just our calendar, we'll be finishing on May 9th, but as I said, the main highlight is on April 27th. With this press conference, is this new data released by SIPRI, And this is the banner we prepared for selfie. If you want to join our selfie campaign, you can print this banner and write your proposal, your alternative as to where you would like to move the money from. I'll send this on the chat later. We are starting to collect selfies, and we'll be publishing them starting tomorrow. So thanks a lot for your attention. Sorry if I was too long on this. And here you can find our Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram, and our website. Thanks a lot for listening.